What's going on YouTube? So we saw a lot of attention around the new Sequoia last year, and rightfully so.
But just because it was just redesigned doesn't mean that there aren't changes. This is the new limited Nightshade trim level for 2024.
So we want to know, is this the best new Sequoia you can buy? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, let's begin this review under the hood with our spec dump. So with this model, you're only going to find the iForce Max hybrid system, which is a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 engine paired with your battery electric componentry. Total power output on this is 437 horsepower. Now you're also paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Most models will have four-wheel drive, and when you have four-wheel drive, fuel economy is going to be 20 miles per gallon combined.
Now, of course, we're going to be talking about all the aspects of this powertrain when we take it out for a drive later. On that drive, we're going to be getting things like our signature sound level reading, and we're also, after that, going to be discussing potential resale value and reliability, which is a new element we're adding to our reviews.
But before we get into all of that, we need to close up the hood, take a look at the exterior design, because a lot of things are going to be updated and different for this Nightshade model. Now let's get into the exterior design, and of course we'll start off here in the front. Now, like we mentioned, this is the new Nightshade model. It is built on the limited trim level, which is going to be the second trim level in the Sequoia lineup. And that does mean that basically what you're going to see is the elimination of chrome in favor for black accents. So that starts up here in the front. So with our grille, the limited is going to have the bar grille, so you'll see those same bars continue, but everything is blacked out here, including our Toyota logo. All we have is this very tiny chrome strip that kind of traces around the outside. Same is going to go for the lower part of the fascia as well. And of course, each different version of the Sequoia does have slightly different looks overall. Now, let's talk about the lighting as well. So every Sequoia will come standard with full LED lights as well as LED fog lamps. But we also have the optional premium LED headlight clusters. So what that's going to get you is a little bit of a fancier look, including with our dynamic turn signal indicators. Now, as we head around to the rear design, we continue to see that really tough-looking design.
Yeah, I really love the way this looks, and especially here with the Nightshade package. You add in all those blacked-out elements that everyone really likes. This piece through here, Sequoia branding. We're also going to keep the exposed wiper right here. And Drew went ahead and hopped inside the cabin to see if all the taillight elements are LED. So we have an LED brake light portion, LED reverse light, and the sequential turn signal. Love the taillight design and the lighting components. It's very premium. Now, as we drop down to this lower fascia, this is also going to be finished in a gloss black for this Nightshade model. I like that. No exposed exhaust outlets unless you get the TRD Pro. And for your tow rating, which is very important for a vehicle like this, we do have slight variations depending on what trim level you choose, but it will be around 9,000 pounds.
Now, as far as wheels are concerned, you continue to have 18 to 22-inch alloy options. This is going to be a 20-inch alloy wheel on board. Again, of course, you're going to see that full black finish, which is special to the Nightshade edition. Now, one thing I do want to point out as far as a 2024 change is that the Platinum version can now get the TRD off-road package. So if you want a little bit more of that off-road ability in terms of your shocks, you can now add that to the Platinum trim level this year. Now, moving above, we've got our iForce Max branding up there on the hood. And in terms of our mirrors, I'm happy to report that every Sequoia actually comes standard with all the features. So that includes auto dimming and even power folding.
Now, in terms of the side design, you're once again going to see a very squared off look. You also have blacked out elements for all of your window surrounds and roof rails. And as far as the overall vehicle length, it's about 208 inches long, which is around 2 inches shorter than a Tahoe for reference. Now, in terms of your safety systems, this is another area where I'm very happy that the Sequoia is including all of your safety systems as standard equipment. So no matter what trim level you choose, you're going to have all of your safety features. But guys, there's some stuff to talk about on the inside, so let's go ahead and dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Okay, let's go ahead and check out the interior next. Of course, we'll take a quick look at our key fob. It's our typical Toyota key fob, although I will point out, unlike some of the other models, you actually don't have the branding of the model on the back. Nevertheless, getting inside is nice and easy with the standard smart entry system. Just grab behind the handle that will unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward. Now, taking a look at the inside of the interior. As I mentioned earlier, Limited is actually one of our more affordable trim levels, and the Nightshade doesn't really limit you in terms of what you can get on the interior. So this is going to be a Softex leatherette for our seating on the Limited model. You can, of course, get cloth all the way up to a very premium semi-aniline quilted leather, but this here is still going to have a very nice look to it. I love that what they've done with the perforation, where you have the cool designs that are kind of inside of the perforations themselves. Overall, feels pretty realistic, and the seat itself is comfortable. Now, in terms of the adjustments, we have 10-way power adjusting on this trim level, and most of our lower models, the Platinum and Capstone, will come with some additional adjustments, including a thigh extension, and we also have memory seats built into the door trim. Let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that I've climbed inside here, let's get into the overall cabin materials in the rest of the cabin. So, across our armrest here, we do have a padded leather. This is going to match the same color as the seats. You have a black leatherette material that runs through here, and Toyota is padding the upper part of the door trim so you can rest your arm like so. Now as we move to the upper dash, all of this is going to be a hard touch plastic. Down in the center, we have this kind of faux aluminum look. We have leatherette through this area, and you'll continue to see that faux aluminum carry on through here, as well as on the console lid. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Now let's head into some individual features. We'll begin things, as always, with our gauge cluster. As you can tell, this is a 12.3-inch full digital gauge cluster. This is standard on every single Sequoia, and you can continue to customize those graphics to different things that you want. I will point out, if you want a head-up display, though, that is something you're going to have to go up to a higher trim level to get. Now, as we move back to the steering wheel, you'll see that we have a nice leather wrap design. We have the perforated leather on the outside edges there. The steering wheel itself is manual tilt and telescoping, unless you go for a Platinum or a Capstone trim level, but we do still have steering wheel heating on this Limited model. Now, let's get into interior storage. That, of course, is a big reason why you buy a big SUV, and indeed we do have plenty of it. First of all, we have this little storage cubby. You could put a small valuable or something like that, but rest assured that's not it. You have a lot more where that came from. As a matter of fact, we have 24 donuts inside. So we like to do the Car Confections donut test because we want to know the volume of the center console, and it fits 24 donuts. That is actually the maximum allowed score on this test. So big win for the Sequoia in that regard. You got a couple USB ports in there as well. Underneath of that aluminum, you'll notice we have a couple cup holders, and then you've got a nice storage cubby up there in the front with our wireless phone charging pad. Now, one of the things that I think a lot of big truck and SUV buyers probably appreciate is that the Sequoia is keeping a nice traditional shifter, no electronic style or anything like that. So you just pull back for drive, bump over here to the left if you want to manually control your shifts. There's no paddle shifters on the steering wheel, though. When we go into reverse, we're going to see a 360-degree camera system as standard on every single Sequoia, so that's certainly nice to see. We also have the available trailer technology package, which gives you basically assistance when you're trying to hook up a trailer to the system. And then back behind, or in front of that, you have your electronic parking brake with your brake hold. This is also where you have your four-wheel drive controls and your knob to go through the different drive modes. And let's continue our tour up here with our climate controls. We've got a 3-zone automatic climate setup. This is standard across the board. Again, nice physical controls to easily adjust your temperature up and down right here. I also want to point out, heated seats are standard equipment on every Sequoia, but if you want seat ventilation, this is the beginning point of that here with the Limited trim level. Now, one of the options we have on today's example is upgrading our standard 8-speaker sound system to the 14-speaker JBL Premium sound system. So let's give that a sample right now. Yeah, overall sound quality is pretty good. I say this a lot with JBL sound systems. Just be aware that they are very bass heavy. Now, let's take a look at the display. Just like with our 14 speaker sound system, we have a 14-inch display. This is the upgraded display. It's on basically every single trim level except for the base model. And in terms of this, it is running Toyota's newest infotainment software. So what that means is you have a very basically big and simple to use interface. I like these buttons with the shortcuts. You have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities. You're also going to have a built-in dynamic navigation system as well. Now up top, we have the available auto dimming mirror with the smart camera function. Like I said, that is an option on this model. And then let me go ahead and put back the sunshade for the panoramic sunroof. So every Sequoia will come standard with at least a regular size sunroof. But here with this limited Nightshade, we have optioned on for an additional $500 the full panoramic one.
All right, so let's go ahead and check out the rear seat area of the Sequoia. Now, when it comes to this space, there's a lot of space, so that's certainly very nice. So we're sitting at about 39 inches of legroom, about 38 inches of headroom. That does place it, pretty competitive with most of the main rivals. And one of the things we do here at Car Confections is we get the knee measure with the seat adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". I'm 5'9" for reference, and we're sitting at a very good 10.5 inches of knee space. My feet can also slide up underneath the seat very comfortably. One thing I do want to point out, though, is that the seat cannot slide forward and back. These are actually fixed position second row seats, so keep that in mind. However, you can still recline quite a good distance. Now, you may be noticing that we have captain's chairs on this model. That's standard on Platinum and Capstone, or optional here on this limited trim level. Here in the center, as far as features, we have 2 cup holders. We also are going to have our own climate controls here for the rear. You may be noticing that we don't have heated or ventilated rear seats. That's because heated and vented seats come standard on Platinum and Capstone only. Dropping below that, we have a USB-A, a USB-C, and a household style outlet. Plus, we have some vents right in here in the center, and we also have vents integrated up here in the headliner. So certainly I like that there's 2 vents. That keeps you nice and cool. Now, in terms of the door trim features, we do have rear window sunshades. That starts here on the limited trim level. It's made of the same materials as the front, so leatherette on the armrest portion and on the upper part. And then we also have quite a bit of bottle storage down in the very bottom. But let's check out the third row and see how nice that is. Now, in order to get back here, pretty simple. You just grab this little lever right here. It's actually going to fold the seat and pop it out of place in one fluid motion. Now, getting back here into the third row itself, it's a pretty good amount of space. Now, the thing about this third row that Toyota was quick to point out is that you do have a sliding functionality. So depending on if you need more cargo space or third row space, you can actually slide this seat forward and back 6 inches. So that definitely helps your overall legroom figures. It's between 28 and 33 inches depending on how much you slide the seat. The headroom's about 35 inches, so for someone who's 5'9" like myself, not too bad whatsoever. We also have 3 rear seats back here, so I want to point that out. So total, we are looking at 7 passenger seating as tested today. Now, as far as features are concerned, over here on the side, you actually have this button that allows me to recline the seat, although the headroom kind of becomes a problem if you recline the seat. We also have 2 cup holders. We have third row window sunshades, and we're also going to have our own vents. So as far as how this lands on the third row rating scale, what I'm going to say is this is fit for adults if you slide the seat all the way back. However, do keep in mind if you need the most cargo capacity and have it slid all the way up, it's not going to be very comfortable. Now let's see how much cargo capacity you have. Now before I get back here, I do want to point out that the power tailgate with hands-free ability is standard on the vast majority of Sequoia models. We also do retain the rear popping glass independent from the tailgate itself, so I'm happy to see that. Now, if we open up the tailgate, let's see how much space you're going to get. Now, this is going to be a rather disappointing area about the Sequoia, depending on what you're cross-shopping this with. Behind the third row of seats, with them slid back to the maximum sliding configuration, about 11 cubic feet of space. Now, if we fold those third row seats down, we are going to have a little bit more space. It's a little over 40 cubic feet with the third row folded, and as a maximum, we're sitting at around 87 cubic feet. Now, how that compares to main rivals. That is going to be less than something like a Chevy Tahoe. It's also going to surprisingly be less than something like a Toyota Grand Highlander, so keep that in mind. Over here on the side, we do have these buttons to power fold the third row seats. As you can see, all of that can be done pretty simply with a press of the button. And you might be curious as to why the cargo figure isn't all that impressive, and this is really the reason why, because we don't have an independent rear suspension. The seats are actually going to be kind of up into the cargo area. So as far as how much space that's taking up, that's actually taking up about 10 inches of your overall cargo space. Now I want to go ahead and fold the second row so I can get the overall cargo length. And now that we've gotten everything folded down, let's see our cargo length. We are sitting at a very impressive 88 inches of length behind the driver's seat. From behind the second row seats, we're sitting at, I'd say, about 49 inches of length. See how wide the opening is. 51 inches wide. That's really, really wide, so that's a good figure. And then as far as cargo height, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the realistic measure from above the third row area. That's going to be sitting around 25 inches. So really keep that in mind. That's going to be a big deciding factor on whether or not you like the practicality of the Sequoia. We do also have a full-size spare tire integrated underneath of the bumper. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2024 Toyota Sequoia. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour. But first, you need to see what the performance is like of this hybrid powertrain.
There we are, as quick as that, to 60 miles per hour. Yeah, so this Sequoia is quite fast. This new generation really comes with ample power. Like we mentioned at the spec dump, compared to the Tundra, its related sibling model, you don't have the base engine, so you just go straight to the iForce Max hybrid system, which this is a hybrid system that's certainly focused on performance. It uses a 3.5-liter V6 engine, and then your overall power is 437 horsepower, 583 pound-feet of torque. So both of those are big numbers. The torque is really, really big, and you can definitely feel that as soon as you get off the line. So you've got both a lot of torque with the engine itself, and the electric componentry adds to the torque figure.
Yeah, it's worth noting, if you're looking at some of the main vehicles this will be cross-shopped with, it's way more power than the standard Tahoe V8, and it's also even more horsepower and quite a bit more torque than the upgraded 6.2-liter in the Tahoe. So that's a big benefit for choosing this Sequoia over some of those other main rivals.
Yeah, this is a big SUV, but it moves. It really, really does. Also, you notice the sound as well. Yeah. Toyota has done some amplification and some modification in a way that really makes it sound like you definitely have a V8, even though this is a V6. It definitely sounds like a V8. Now, when you're at light loads, such as going down this hill here, you'll notice that the engine does cycle off because it is a hybrid system. Also, this is capable of bringing you up to, I believe Toyota says 18 miles an hour under electric power only, but obviously this is pretty big, so most of the time when you're moving forward, you will find that the engine is on.
Yeah. But just kind of cruising along the highway here, I want to take a second to discuss your ride quality. Now, when it comes to this Sequoia, we've been in many different versions of this vehicle. Mainly, we focused on like the capstone, so the highest end version of the Sequoia. And I have to say, here on the limited trim level, I'm really not seeing much of a difference when it comes to ride quality, which is a great thing. You have a very good ride quality overall. When you hit a bump, you can feel some intrusion. I do want to point out that the way they've done the suspension setup, it's not going to be quite as good as something like a Tahoe with a magnetic ride control or the optional air suspension, because even though you can get an available air suspension on this vehicle, it's just a rear air suspension.
Now, as far as the other aspect of the powertrain, we do have a 10-speed automatic transmission on board. It is a really silky smooth. You see that really play out, especially when you're just accelerating in a more casual way.
But we're at 55 miles per hour, so let's go ahead and get our sound level reading. .9 decibels is our official Car Confections sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour in our home state of Kentucky in the Sequoia Limited Nightshade. If you want to check out all of the sound level readings that we do on this channel, which we do them for every car we review, you can find that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. But let's go ahead and see how that compares to the rivals. Now, as far as how that falls in the segment, that is going to place it pretty much in the middle of the segment. It's a little bit louder than Jeep Wagoneer, Yukon, and the Ford Expedition. A little quieter than the Tahoe, though, and it actually, surprisingly, this model came in a little quieter than the Capstone model that we tested out earlier last year. So a little bit interesting there. One of the things Toyota does say with the Capstone is that they include acoustic glass to make the cabin a little bit quieter, but it appears in overall real-life practice that it's not going to make too big of a difference. Now, you're probably curious if this is a hybrid system as standard. Does it get a lot better fuel economy like some of the other Toyota hybrids? Now, you heard Drew say at the beginning this is definitely a performance-oriented hybrid, more so than fuel economy, and indeed that's going to show up when we hit our fuel economy figures. 22 miles a gallon combined with two-wheel drive, 20 miles a gallon combined with four-wheel drive. So really the fuel economy is going to be pretty much on par with most of the other things in the segment, despite it being a hybrid. But really the main benefit in the hybrid is just power at this point, power and torque and those types of things that you need with a big truck like this. All right, now it's time for us to do our slam dunk and airball favorite and least favorite element. Drew, do you want to kick us off with the slam dunk?
Yeah, the slam dunk is the Nightshade edition. I think this is a really cool look added to the limited trim. As we discussed, limited is one of your lower trim levels, so you kind of get this real nice high-end look to a lower trim level overall, and I do like what they've done here.
And it's only $500 as well. I think that's pretty much a steal. Now, as far as the airball side of things, what we're going to say is just the overall practicality when you start to get to the cargo department and the third row. That's really this vehicle's worst element. The cargo capacity is much lower than the rivals, and honestly, it's lower than the Grand Highlander. So, plus the third row in the Grand Highlander is actually nicer and more spacious. So those types of elements are sacrificed here with the Sequoia just due to the platform this vehicle is riding on, but it's definitely going to make for a little bit of less space than you might expect out of a big SUV like this. And lastly, Toyota is protecting the Sequoia with their signature warranty, 3-year 36 basic, 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain. You do also get 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Now let's talk pricing. So for 2024, we're going to rise between $2,000 and $3,000 just as a price increase this year. That means for this Limited, we're going to start around 67 grand. Once we add in options such as 4-wheel drive, plus all the options that we have on today's example, and $1,850 for destination, we're sitting at a grand total of $77,138. Now, of course, you can also get more expensive versions of the Sequoia, such as the Capstone, and those are going to be well into the $80,000 price point. And if you're looking to buy a Toyota Sequoia or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now let's talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now, first up, let's talk about resale value. Now, as an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Sequoia's potential resale. We estimate that after 5 years, this Toyota Sequoia will be worth 64.5% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 41.4%. Now, it's worth noting that is a very, very impressive resale value percentage. It actually places it as the number 2 option overall against all other vehicle makes. So you certainly will be benefiting from that high resale value with this model.
We've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index, which takes into account studies from several trustworthy sources about reliability and combines them in a useful way. Now, in this study, Toyota ranks as the number 1 make against all other vehicle makes on the market.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our reliability and resale value data, as well as our methodology, go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car certainly is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the 2024 Toyota Sequoia Limited Nightshade. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to get access to more car reviews like this, you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you, you won't want to miss out on that. So go ahead, do yourself a favor, and hit that subscribe button down below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.